The Department of Veterans Affairs under fire again. This time, the agency reportedly skipping out on $135 million in unpaid claims it owes private hospitals participating in its Choice Card program, which allows vets to seek private medical care if they can't get it at a VA hospital. Joining us right now is Brandon Coleman, a VA whistleblower in Arizona. Good morning to you, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve.
In 2014, when the VA started this program, of course, it was trying to get themselves off the front page of every newspaper, because if then that way going forward, because the scandal was so many VA veterans could not get treatment at the VA, so go someplace else, use the Choice Card. But as it turns out, those doctors are not getting paid.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, to get veterans the care that we deserve, that we earned by defending this nation. However, the VA is doing everything they can to make sure that they sabotage the program, making sure that doctors aren't getting paid, that veterans are getting sent to collections, just to make sure that the Choice program isn't working.
Well, why is that, Brandon?
Just last week, the union, the AFGE, the union that I belong to as a VA employee, came out and said that the Choice program needed to be scrapped. This is the same union that after I testified on the Hill before the Senate, a union attorney by the name of J. Ward Morrow came out and bashed my testimony. He didn't bash it for being inaccurate, but he bashed it for not being union friendly and not carrying forward the union agenda. I shot back to Mr. Morrow and I said, what is the union agenda? Because if it's not bettering the care for our veterans, I won't be pushing the union agenda, sir. Never heard back from him. That's the same union that came out and said that the Choice program needs to be scrapped because it's considered competition.
Brandon, I looked this up. I could only find a few news stories about it. We're covering it, but nobody else is talking about it. The initial VA scandal was gigantic. All the newscasts did it. Now this is just as big, where ultimately vets are going to be denied care because doctors aren't going to want to be part of a program they don't get paid in. But nobody's covering this.
No, nobody's covering it, and I have a sheet of paper right here that shows this was printed on Tuesday by a whistleblower from Phoenix, Arizona, showing that 1,627 Choice-eligible veterans waiting an average of 59 days for care, making them Choice-eligible, are not getting Choice services. It is still happening all over the country as we speak.
Well, let's hope there's some people in Washington watching right now saying, hey, wait a minute, that's wrong. We got to do something about that. Brandon Coleman, a VA whistleblower from Arizona. Brandon, thank you very much.
And here's evidence and proof that Democrats and Obama diverted funds away from supporting our veterans' health care that allows them to choose their own hospitals. In light of the scandals of the VA, you would expect that when we elect a president, they would treat our veterans with respect. But not when you vote for Democrats, because so many of them are socialists now. As you saw in that picture, you saw Obama with Bernie Sanders, and they took away the veterans' ability to choose their own doctors, choose their own hospitals for the best care. But because there's so many public sector unions within healthcare and within the government, those veterans have no choice. They're dying. Our government is killing our veterans, and this is what happens when you vote Democrat. Democrats don't care about our veterans. They didn't care about them in the 70s when they spit in their faces after they came home from the war, fighting for the freedom of others, fighting for the freedom of Vietnam people. And what did the Democrats do? What did the hippies do? They spit on the faces of our vets. They threw water at them. They called them baby killers. And now these people are running our government. Do you really want a Hillary Clinton running our government? Do you really want the same Bernie Sanders that hijacked the civil rights movement and where it was a part of taking over the reins from the civil rights leaders who were persecuted and killed and assassinated, to a Bernie Sanders, which is aborting children on demand, which is aborting especially black children, and funding Planned Parenthood, which was founded by racists? This is what happens when we vote Democrat, when we vote liberals in office. They don't care about the health care of our veterans, and they don't care about the security of our country. They're more interested in being apologists for radical Islam and defending the reputation of Islamists and jihadists. And we see here another testimony. Obama's budget will allow the defunding of programs that allows veterans to seek care outside of the VA system. You see, the evidence is right before our very eyes. This was posted last year. in many journals and many newspapers, but our media keeps us so distracted so that we don't realize what's going on. This is why we need to be informed citizens. It's time to just stop voting for the same old Democrat Party. Here it is again. The VA seeks to reallocate Choice Act funds and $169 billion budget proposal. And our veterans were again dishonored. Our veterans were again disrespected. And when you vote Democrat, you vote for these unions. These unions take orders from other groups. And those groups don't care about the security of America. Those groups don't care about America's interests. They only care about the interests of Russia and China and an autocratic system of government. This is what happens when you elect socialists like Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. You need to stop, think, and listen. And look up the evidence yourself. It's right before your eyes. The Veterans Affairs under Barack Obama, our VA, is in crisis right now. And our veterans, the people who defended our lives, defended our Constitution, defended our freedoms, are now suffering in the hands of Democrats. Every time you elect Democrats, more blacks die in the cities, die in the streets. Every time you vote Democrats, you have more people dying in hospitals through euthanasia, indirect euthanasia, by Democrat policies where hospitals get bonuses for pushing people through the system. And by denying our veterans the proper health care coverage that they need, by refusing to pay the doctors in the hospitals of their own choice. Just as they don't value human life inside the womb, they don't value human life outside the womb. And it shows. There's no difference between a human holocaust outside the womb and a human holocaust inside the womb. The same Socialist Democrats that funded an organization called Planned Parenthood, which was founded by a Nazi supporter named Margaret Sanger, are still funding genocide in America by way of abortions and now euthanasia. You can't even say the word Nazi in German without saying the word socialist, and that's exactly what controls the Democrat Party. It was Barack Obama and Democrats who decided to shift Veterans Choice Act funds away from the veterans and diverting the money to other programs. Because as more and more people realize that when they voted Democrat, their grandmothers, their grandfathers were being killed in those hospitals. A friend of mine was a World War II vet and suffered from neglect and abuse at a VA because he was turned over on the wrong side because they didn't care. They wanted to get that money from the government for pushing people through. This is a legacy of liberalism. This is a legacy of big government, and it's a legacy that we don't want in America. We need a government that cares about the people. The Democrats just don't care about people because they don't value human life.
And the second reform that we need, the fundamental reform we need, is meaningful choice for every veteran. Every veteran should have the right to see the doctor of his or her choosing in any facility. Look, we need leadership at the top that says we're going to empower every one of our vets to make your own choices on health care, to find the doctors, to find the facilities where you want to get treated that can take care of your needs. And I commit to you as president, I am going to lead to make that happen.
Why, if the vets want it, and the solutions seem to be so clear, giving a veteran, why don't things like this happen?
Because Washington is all about money and power. So we got to have leaders willing to, and with a record of, standing up to the Washington cartel, being willing to take on both Democrats and Republicans to fight for the people that we're supposed to be representing.